Ever since Chapter 5 of Poppy Playtime came out, there has been some mixed reviews upon the matter. There were some people who generally loved it, and there are those who despised it. But I'm not making this video on the review's sake. I'm making this, well, of course, a versus battle, a power scaling video. And this right here will depict if Peter Jackson's KingKong could take on the entirety of the Poppy Playtime cast. And I won't be alone in this video, as I'll have two other fellows to cover each side of the spectrum, and I'll be the one in the end to go over if Kong can actually solo these gigantic toy monsters at the very end of each analysis. Well, you're up first, Viper.
Alright, hello, this is Viper. Thank you to my good friend Instinct for letting me on the channel to talk about the scaling of Poppy Playtime. For this, we're going to be covering first the stats and speed of the character, and then briefly going over the hacks and the general ranking of where each character is meant in the inverse kind of ranking. So for the main feats, we obviously have a ton of ways of different characters mutilating humans, from crushing skulls to tearing them apart. This is all pretty standard or common basis for especially horror characters, but they do get far higher. As we know, supposed to be a Huggy Wuggy, he can not only tear apart metal, but slam through metal reinforced doors without much issue. In fact, he's so strong that even while weakened from a long fall and visibly injured, we see Huggy ram through a concrete wall with so much force, it ranges from the wall plus ranges of power to the small building ranges of power. And this is by no means inconsistent for the verse, as all the previous upcoming feats will be by the prototype. This generally includes not only the fact that we know that the prototype could survive a train explosion, but also surviving half of its lower body being frozen, and surviving oil tankers being thrown at it, all feats ranging from the wall to small building level ranges of power. Now, for why these feats aren't just small building, it's mainly due to the calcs themselves, and while originally they were calced at small building level, readjustments of the calcs do get it into wall level. The most debatable of these downscales to wall level is the aforementioned Huggy Wuggy feat, as the downscale completely relies on the interpretation of it being either a cylinder or just a circle, aka being the method of how Huggy caused this level of destruction, which does vastly change the numbers of the calc, and the prototype's train explosion, as it was off screen, so we only know very limited information on the actual explosion itself, which does inherently have to downscale the feat. But it's very, very likely that, the characters of this caliber are small building, more specifically the higher end tiers of these characters, but at the very least these guys are in the wall plus ranges of power. Now for speed, these guys are generally faster than humans. We see this visibly with Huggy Huggy even potentially blitzing humans, and Huggy also dodging tranquilizer darts, a potentially subsonic feat depending on the speed of those darts. This is consistent with the prototype being able to keep up with a train seemingly going at full speed, which depending on the model of the train, it's likely a superhuman to subsonic feat. Considering it is likely an older train, I imagine it is more in those superhuman speed ranges of speed. So for AP, again, these guys are wall plus to potentially small building, and for speed, these guys are superhuman to subsonic. For hacks, the only real notable hacks of this verse come from Catnap and the prototype, with Catnap and the prototype both having hallucinogenic gas, which can cause people either to go to sleep or experience some form of hallucinations, and general dysphoria. This seemingly should be effective against Kong, as I don't imagine Kong have any resistance to this kind of hallucinogenic gas or even just being put to sleep. This is a hard win con for Catnap and the prototype specifically. The prototype also has a form of regeneration. As we know for a fact, the prototype could regenerate itself from being cut in half, and that is why it's so powerful as well, is because it buffed itself on all the Huggy goo, so it essentially made itself immortal and could regenerate from seemingly most wounds dealt to it. That is the implication. However, we do not know the time frame of this, which is the big problem with the regeneration, as far as we know, it can take anywhere from a second to like an hour. Though seemingly based on the context, I imagine it is closer to more instantaneous and battle applicable more so than anything. The final things to go over is the inverse rankings. So I'm only going to be really referencing the major top tier toys for this and who actually scales to this. Obviously, we know Huggy and the prototype scale this, as they are the both major contributors for this feat, and therefore Kissy Missy should scale to this as well, as Kissy Missy is a kind of direct counterpart to Huggy, and we know Kissy Missy can directly damage the prototype as well. Catnap is a character that not only Twitter posts reference as superior to Huggy, but also in lore experimentation logs reference him as the superior, better experiment to Huggy Wuggy. Yarnaby and Doughy should also be here, as Doughy is a character that we know could fend off the prototypes to some unknown degree, which should mean he at least scales, and Yarnaby is on several occasions compared, if not outright said to be worse than the previous toys mentioned, including characters like Catnap and Huggy. Maybe this doesn't necessarily mean he's above them, but it should mean he's in the general same tier of power. So to give kind of a recap, obviously the prototype is the strongest character here. I mean, he essentially one-shots Huggy and Kissy Missy with his claws, and the only reason Kissy ever did so well with him is essentially because she caught him off guard. The next would likely be Catnap, as Catnap is generally deemed as a superior character to Huggy, and also has the Logenic Gas, which is a major hacks win con. Huggy, Kissy Missy, and Yarnaby are. Doughy would then be next, as Doughy is one of the few characters who is able to actually fight the prototype, which should put him above me and Kissy. Doughy is also likely physically stronger than Catnap in terms of raw stats as well, also being a previously major contributor for some of the higher end feats in the verse, such as smashing a stone pillar and holding up a large compressor. However, these are also wall plus. And then finally, we have Huggy Wuggy, Kissy Missy, and Yarnaby. These characters all just kind of downscale or have the lower ends of the feats previously interpreted due to several reasons, as I mentioned before. For where I'd scale each character individually, the prototype, I'd argue, is probably the most likely to be in the small building level ranges, as he is generally just so massively above everything else. I mean, he could one-shot one of these already depletably small building level characters, or at the very least very deep into wall level, that being Huggy with single strikes. So I think out of everyone, he's the most likely to be in that small building level range of power, and therefore likely subsonic as well, as does also Blitz, this aforementioned Huggy Wuggy. And the others would generally just kind of range between the wall and small building and superhuman to subsonic range, depending on how you want to interpret it. But that's up to you guys. Thank you for Instinct for letting me on this video, and back to him.
Thank you, Viper, for that analysis. Now to go to the Big Ape himself. You're up next, KLTM.
Peter Jackson's KingKong is a pretty powerful but fairly overrated creature. When we actually break down his feats and abilities, we can see that he's definitely powerful, but not exactly the Godzilla slaying thing that people portray him as. In terms of size, Kong is 25 feet tall when standing on his hind legs, and 18 feet tall on all fours. Pretty big compared to any creature in Poppy Playtime. In terms of strength, Kong has destroyed trees, smashed rocks, and broken through wood and steel structures alike, with several calculations getting this from the bare minimum of small building level to potentially higher, such as the low ends of building level if you are very nice. Expanded versions of the canon also demonstrate the 8th wonder of the world as capable of performing even better feats. Of course, though, these take liberties with size, which exaggerate his strength, or are technically not canon, such as the game featuring him. In terms of speed, this Kong is one of the faster grounded creatures, able to react to airplanes at close proximity, and easily outspeeding the V-Rex that run at 25 miles per hour and dancing around them as if they were slow in comparison. He has centuries of experience fighting these powerful dinosaurs and navigating Skull Island, showing a high degree of adaptability, intelligence, and knowledge of his terrain. Durability, however, is perhaps his weakest aspect. Stabbed by torpedoes, shot by bullets. While Kong can take punishment from creatures of relative strength to himself, he has shown the ability to be pierced through by things that really shouldn't if you think about it. Ultimately, the biplane's assault left Kong bloodied, and eventually he fell to his death. As for abilities and other such, he's an ape. He can throw a rock and swing around the jungle. That's about it. So I'll pass the mic back to Instinct, and thanks for having me on the channel.
Since both Viper and KLTM have respectfully explained the stats of both Poppy Playtime Co. and KingKong, now the question remains: who actually wins? The AP obviously goes to Kong. The durability department goes to Kong, arguably, since it's mentioned he gets damaged by helicopter bullets but can survive V-Rex bites, which is weird. I could give this to the prototype, but he has a regen factor, so we can't really use durability for this. But we can certainly use this as an advantage later on. Speed, I might have to give it slightly to the top dogs, the Playtime Co., specifically the prototype, since Kong has little to no subsonic reactions while Poppy Playtime has arguments for it. In the hacks department,
oh my god, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man? Get your ass on, boy.
bro, come on, Poppy Playtime code finesses. Starting off, Kong obviously sells little toys. He can beat Lily Lovebraids, Huggy Wuggy, Kissy Missy, and Mommy Longlegs quite easily. Catnap, I can see Kong winning just as long as he doesn't succumb to the sleeping gas. Though he can physically beat, but the problem is it will be hard for him to win since he has regen and his body isn't that easily beat. But luckily for Kong, he's much stronger than Doughy. Then we come to the prototype himself. This can go one or two ways. One, if we think Kong is still stronger, sure, but he's slower and has little to no arsenal of abilities against the prototype. And yes, he can resist going to sleep since he took 3 bottles of chloroform to be knocked out. But here's the problem. The prototype, just like Catnap, can spread endless sleeping gas against the big ape. The only way Kong can win is if you want to argue he has higher durability and his attacks can break the prototype. But as Viper mentioned before, he also has regen. All this means is this fight comes down to speed, durability, and abilities. And Kong seems to be kind of falling short in these aspects, especially the speed and abilities department. So unfortunately for our Ape King, he's getting dismembered by the final boss, the prototype. I want to give thanks to the people who helped me with this video and go ahead and subscribe to their channels. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, turn on that bell, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.